Hello, this is Pastor Tabitha Purple. We are doing our daily devotionals, and I just want to do something to show you what I'm working through, because some of you may not believe that I'm just literally picking a verse from a day. So this is a regular calendar, as you can see. It's got months, it's got days. I'm crossing them out as I go, and we're doing the days. I decided, for whatever reason, to start in the January of this year. This is the February one. It's got a really nice picture. I thought it was quite lovely myself. But as you can see, I pick the verse, I cross the verse out so that I've done that one. And there's a reason I'm telling you that. It's because today's devotional is taken from Exodus chapter 34, verses 6 and 7. Now, bear in mind, I've literally just been following along. We started the Corona Diaries and I decided, okay, we'll do the devotionals, give you a chance to chat with somebody each day, call a different friend, reflect on what is happening with the devotional. And I feel like I've done this one already, but I can't say that for sure because it's been 5 weeks, potentially 6. I can't remember anymore. But we're on day 22 in this series because I decided to just keep going with the numbering instead of going back. So we're on day 22 and we're in Exodus 34, verse 6 and 7. And it says this: "The Lord passed in front of him," so the him is Moses, of course, "and proclaimed, the Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in faithful love and truth, maintaining faithful love to 1,000 generations, forgiving iniquity, rebellion, and sin. But he will not leave the guilty unpunished, bringing the father's iniquity on the children and grandchildren to the 3rd and 4th generation." Now, I feel like we've done this already because I'm so sure that I said to you, look at the contrast. Okay, so I just want you to just imagine the contrast. The opening lines that he's telling Moses, he's frustrated with the people. He's done everything. He's been pillars of fire. He's been shade. He's been parting the sea. He's rescued them. He's fed them. He's given them water. He's looked after them. He invited them into his presence. They said no. They worshipped a calf instead of him. I mean, he's just been going the extra distance, right? And now they're down there and they're just being wicked. And he's like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I've tried. And in fairness, some of us need to hear that. We need to hear that, like, God has tried. It's not like he just, we always think of God as just strike people off. But actually, God goes the extra mile. The whole Bible narrative leading to the life of Jesus is God going the extra mile, continually reaching out to humans, going, I tell you what, if you do this, then I'll do this. If you just keep one thing, just do one thing, just do one thing good, honest, and I'll do the rest. And that is the whole Hebrew Bible, is literally just God going, I know you're not great at this, but let me try. I know you're not good at this, but let me try. And so he says this, and he talks about how much he's forgiven, how much he's actually just going on and on and on and on and on, and how for thousands of years he will keep doing that. But then he says something really interesting that we get hung up to: the guilty, their sins will be punished, and 3rd and 4th generation, like maybe 2 or 3 generations, will end up receiving the punishment in some ways, or not even receiving the punishment. I think it's more effect of, if your parents are punished, then you're going to deal with it. And you have to think about it like this. If you're growing up in a community where 4 generations live in one home, which is how people grew up then of course, if one of you does something deliberately, all of you are probably involved. And if one of you does something deliberately, it's going to affect everyone else, because of course that person's bringing that into the home. And you can't just, if you take them out, it's going to affect everyone. If you leave them in, it's going to affect everyone. If you leave them unpunished, it will affect everyone. If you punish them, it will affect it. There's nothing you can do in this situation that is not going to affect the other generations of the family. And so when we read it from like a Western perspective, where we've moved away from our parents and they're in a home somewhere, and our great-grandparents, they're in another home, and we're all living all over the place, and we're like, oh, what a cruel and wicked God that could do this to the 3rd and 4th generations. But, like literally the verse before, he's like, I forgive the sin for thousands of generations. So what's the difference between the sin and the guilt? Now think about that for a minute. What's the difference between the sin and the guilt? You have to think about that, because what he said is, I'll be forgiven sin for thousands of generations. but guilty will not go unpunished. So there's your little challenge for today. What's the difference between those two things? Because I think sometimes we need to really just dress back a little bit and ease off of our little pedestal we put ourselves on as judge, juror and executioner for everybody else, and recognise that just maybe, when God is speaking, he's not a cruel, malicious, evil, wicked God. It's a good, loving, kind God who forgives sins for thousands of generations. But where correction is necessary, he's going to hand that out to make sure that you understand that he loves you. And correction isn't not loving somebody. It will be unloving not to correct you, to just leave you in your mess and let you keep making the mess. That would be unloving. Well, anyway, work out the difference. Trust me, it'll be really interesting. So that's your devotional thought for today. I did not answer the question. I just set you the challenge of working it out. Exodus chapter 34 verses 6 and 7. Have a go. Drop a comment to let me know how you got on. If you really get stuck, then I'll do a proper video to look at the fullness of the text, the culture, the exposition of what is going on there, because I think you'll enjoy it. All right, bye.